and relative flow of vehicles from the street. This orientation helps every terrace to get winter sun, and staggered layout gives a better wind flow. And this is also because Delhi is a very cold, has a very cold climate. Yeah, next slide, Tanvi.
The site information. So there are three approach roads that help locate the site. The Guru Ravidas Marg, which is the primary access road and is 18-meter wide. The secondary access road, which is the Alaknanda Marg and the DDA Street. And the tertiary accesses are provided from the internal roads and paths. The housing is a high density project. So around the site also, there are many mass housing projects. The location is now a suburb for middle class housing projects. We also see a lot of vegetative cover around the site. The site has the Guru Ravidas Ashram located towards its south and the Jahapana city forest located in the north region of the site. Then we next. To enhance the quality of life, Correa designed the layout in such a way that the pedestrian and vehicular movement is well defined and segregated. He tried to provide 5 entrances to the site on the 4 quadrants each and 1 extra entry for particularly the pedestrians. The public spaces, the communal spaces are placed with the interior of the site such that the houses have an overlooking view of the courtyard. Other amenities are also present like the airport, railway station, schools, banks, DTC bus stations and hospitals. Next.
After the 1947 partition, there was need to rehabilitate the retired government officials into an affordable housing, and this project was given to Charles Correa as the first group housing project in Delhi. Now, he believed that high-rise buildings can make a person feel lonely. So he designed a low-rise, high-density housing that reflects companionship. Correa followed the classical principles of vernacular architecture in the final design, that spontaneous events are provided a platform and the whole focus shifts from individual living in their flats to a community. As told before, there were roads, highly trafficked roads from all the sides. So he designed it in a way that the cluster turns inside and an internal courtyard is formed. This illustration depicts the same. Next slide, Tanvi. Now, as vernacular architecture was the main concept, he was inspired by the typical Indian streets that were created by the staggered peripheral section in the design, and factors like central garden, big overhangs, and sharp edges, rooms and spaces full of lights and ventilation were given into the design. Next. Namrata.
So this is the slide for the evolution of form, like how he finally got to the form for the apartment. So first he considered a rectangle with which is 3 meter wide and 15 meter long, and then he made cuboid of it, and such that he placed cuboids besides each other and above one another. So the main concept of it was to achieve creative vernacular typology of arranging and piling the singular flat into united blocks. So he did the same thing for the 3 BHK units, and he attached L and inverted L kind of blocks to each other, and finally he got to this form, which these are the dwellings are grouped into some small and medium blocks, which create the diversity of form, but then still it maintains the logic of the dwellings. And as Charles Correa did not believe in having high, so he just made 4 floors to it, and he took into consideration the shadow effects, because the central circulation space had was fully shaded because of the apartments that were around it. Yes. Then we next slide.
So the planning is done in such a way that the society is divided in 2 rows, uh, having circulation in the center. Now, at the center, they have community spaces. The houses are oriented around the community spaces. The staggered light and shadow, the staggered unit with the terrace garden protected by overhead pergolas, edges, beams, giving the complex a strong sense of light and shadow. And the inner part of the society is totally private. Next, now the total area is 15,000 square meter, which is around 3.8 acres, and total built-up area is 15,518 square meter approximately, and the FSI for this is 1.03. Next, can we next?
Now,
Namrata.
So this is basically the site plan of the Tara Housing Society. So like we can see that there is the entrance which is provided from the south side, and there are two routes. One is for the vehicular movement, which is depicted in gray, and the other is the pedestrian, a path for pedestrian movement. And this is like the all the blocks of the flats, those are arranged in staggered manner. And the interior space, we can see that there are different amenities present, like the amphitheater, the lawn, then water body is also present. A swimming pool is present at the behind of these apartments, and a lot of greenery is also present, which is also planned. Uh, Charles Correa sir has well segregated the pedestrian and vehicular paths within the site, and they have provided a central community space at the center of the whole site, so that this creates a proper interactive space for all the people of the society. And he has also considered the shading of the internal courtyard very well. And we can see that the site section shown. So all the blocks, they are connected with the help of staircases and bridges. Yes, then we next slide. So these are the sections of the same apartments. So we can see that the two apartment blocks, they are connected with proper open staircases, and these basically staircases, they make people interact with each other openly, and also provide security. Also the apartments are designed very well, because we can see that open terraces are provided, which are properly protected with pergolas and overhangs, and these also provide shadow to the bottom of the building. And the central space that is provided, it helps in visual connection, and kids can play there, and the parents can also keep an eye on them. So this space basically is very helpful, providing social interaction. We can also see in the below section that two types of car parkings are provided. One is covered car parking, and the other is normal parking, which is like open parking. Then we next slide. These are the two elevations of the apartment building. One is like we can see it from the internal courtyard part, and the other is the exterior elevation of the apartment. And we can see that how properly these apartment blocks are connected to each other, and offsets are provided, like because it is in staggered manner. Next, Tanvi. This is the 2 BHK layout of the apartment block. So we can see that on the ground floor, we have a living room, a common bathroom, kitchen, and staircase. And a circulation space is provided in front of the kitchen. And in this, we can see that the planning is a little congested, and duct is provided for the bathroom. And like we can see that this is the 2 BHK flat. So in the zoning plan, we can see that in orange 2 BHK flats are given. And we can all on the first floor, we can see that two bedrooms are given with a common toilet, and duct is provided to the toilet for the same. And in the section, we can see that proper overhangs are provided, which protect the bottom part of the building. And these overhangs also have planters in it. And the like whole of the height of the building and the proportion of the building is taken into is designed in accordance with the anthropometry of the human. Next, Tanvi. This is the 3 BHK layout of the apartment block. So in this, we can see that two flats, they are attached to each other. So for flat one, at the ground floor, they have provided living room, bathroom, and kitchen. While on the first floor, they have provided three bedrooms with three bedrooms, two bedrooms having a common bathroom, while one bedroom having attached bathroom. And for the other flat, they have just reversed the order. Like they have given two bedrooms, living room, kitchen, and a common bathroom on the ground floor, while on the first floor they have provided bedroom with common toilet bathroom. And for 3 BHK, there are only 16 units provided, and which are of 130 square meter area. And these are denoted in yellow color in the zoning plan of the same. Next.
As we saw in evolution of the form, the overhang reduces harsh rays reaching to the ground. Therefore, central courtyard provides a microclimate within the site. So here we can observe that the site uses natural ventilation and sunlight to its maximum limits. Tell me next.
The overall shape and pattern of the building and its interior spaces are almost rectangular and cuboidal. The open spaces are derived from configuration of horizontal and vertical planes. Also, these cuboids are arranged in a rhythmic order from left to right and the top to bottom. The offsets in the multiple offsets that are given in the levels provide shades to the lower levels beneath them. Next. There are square and rectangular shaped fenestrations given in the exteriors. Some of the architectural features are the intricate patterns created by the steps, the folded plate staircases, the contrast created by the dense green trees and the exposed brickwork, and the cylindrical columns at the peripheries. Next.
The basic services that can be given to any residential unit like water supply, electricity, drainage system, and staircases all are provided in Tara Housing Society. All the services are concealed or are placed overhead like overhead tanks, which cannot be seen from a human eye level. Water supply is from municipal corporation that is stored in the central concealed tank, and water is pumped to each unit with the help of pumping system and is stored in overhead tanks which are provided for each residential unit. Electrical substation is in the basement, which provides electricity to complete complex. Each residential unit has its own meter. The drainage for wastewater is directly channelized into the municipal sewer through concealed underground pipelines. A staircase for vertical circulation is provided, where there are 19 staircases and 3 connecting bridges to connect 2 rows of housing. Next. External features include the facade of exposed brickwork and concrete bands. This gives a vernacular touch to the project. The central spine and OAT are the open spaces with presence of green cover and green pockets in the center. Bridges and staircases also contribute in the external feature of the project. Next. The site layout forms 2 long walls of these terraced units, creating an enclosed garden in the center of the project. The large multi-level generous landscape garden generates its own microclimate. This is essential in the dry heat of Delhi. Big trees are at the periphery of the site so that the hustle and bustle of the main roads is avoided. The green trees and lawn gives a great contrast to the exposed brick facade. Small planters and shrubs are planted in the central community spaces and on the overhangings. Next.
So we can find there is a seamless integration of the built and the open at Tara Housing. As we can see, the amenities it offers like the central enclosed community area, which is landscape with trees, peripheral parking area along northwest and north boundary walls, an amphitheater, children's play area, and a passive recreation area on the south. These attributes play a crucial role to a building which is in use 24 hours a day and where the residents are permanent, thus mingling and forming relationships at a much larger level in a community. Next. These are some of the interior views of the apartments of the Tara housing. As we can see, the different rooms are pictured. Next.
Your architecture can be seen through the concrete panels of exposed brick, portals, overhangs, and shape edges that can used exposed brick facade in the project as it brings a sense of warmth, character, and texture to the space. They have also used exposed concrete as it refers to visible part of architectural design of the building, and it gives a naturally shabby texture to the building. The reviews, the people living there have left some reviews like it is a peaceful place, recreational spaces, good connectivity, green spaces, and a beautiful ambience.
Now, while finalizing our virtual case study, we came across some very interesting mass housing projects. So we have summarized some of them that we studied. Architect Raj Reval had many housing projects. 3 of them that we studied were Asian Game Housing, Zakir Hussain Cooperating Housing, Sheikh Sarai Housing Complex. And the common fascinating concept of his design were Indian streets, urban fabric, courtyards, gateways, and clusters forming. In Sheikh Sarai Housing Complex, it was inspired by Haveli typology, similar to ours. In Zakir Hussain Cooperating Housing, a staggered form of clusters in which architects have used cubic volumes arranged in a geometric pattern as per the linearity of the site. Tanvi will be telling us about Asian Games Village.
It is a project designed by architect Raj Reval in New Delhi only. It is also a cluster of buildings which was designed for retired government officers after the Olympic Games in 1980s. So it has streets that are narrow, shaded, broken up, and those are broken up to create small units for rest and changing. Gateways allow for a change of a continuity. Bridges formed by linking two neighboring houses. So these are some of its plan of the houses. They have created three types of houses, and these are the floor plans of those houses. Now Ritika would be explaining Habitat 67.
So we also studied about Habitat 67, which is a major landmark located in Canada. It is a mass housing project which was designed in the year 1961 by Safdie architects. The fascinating thing about this project is its concept, that is three-dimensional forms with open spaces. The architect has brilliantly combined open spaces and shelter housing together, creating a sense of communal homes. He also used the concept of light in his project. Also, access and connections are provided in such a way that each module is connected to the other with the help of garden terraces. Then we next. Other fascinating thing about this project is that it is a prefabricated, reinforced, manufactured on site. Then there are 15 modular arrangements that form different housing types. Each module is given an area of a factor of 60 square meters. So that way we have 4 BHK, 2 BHK, 3 BHK, and 1 BHK housings. Here, this project has also won certain awards and is a popular architectural lover site. Next.
So coming to literature case study, for our case study, we went to these two societies. We planned for 51 and 180 greens, but since both the societies are the project of same firm and besides each other, so we went for both. That is 50 and 108 greens as well as 51 and 180 greens. Next. For our case study, we communicated with a family of 4 people living in 50 and 108 greens in one of the apartments of the society. Next.
Now these both societies are located at the same point. It is in front of Kamal Bajaj Hospital, Mid Bypass Road, MIDC. The architect is Dexter Fernandez from Uneven firm, Vadodara. The builder of this scheme is AM Patel Infrastructure. The topography of the site is sloping towards north, and it has black cotton soil. So they did a pile foundation while constructing it, and as you can see, there is a Kham river flowing behind from the society, and it is 200 meters in from the main road. Next.
The site is divided into different parts. Like the front side is for apartments. 4 apartments of 7 floors each are arranged. Then the row houses, the gardens, the amenity space, and the circulation. The 8-meter wide roads are provided to each tower, bungalows, and amenities area. Next.
These are the build-up and ground coverage of the areas. We have observed that the build-up area is almost 3.4 times the total ground coverage. Then we next.
As the site has irregular layout, so to maintain the linearity and to have straight linear views in the front yards of the access roads, so the bungalows are arranged in a manner with the backyards of varying sizes. So some of the bungalows have less backyard space and some of them have more backyard spaces. And the planning is done in a simplified ways with few offsets for the aesthetic purpose. Next. On each floor, 4 flats are built. Those flats are arranged in a grid format, 2 at the north and 2 at the south, with the space in between with staircase block and 2 elevators in the center. Next. This is the plan of the single apartment. Each and every part of every room of the apartment gets natural light and ventilation through the windows and the balconies and the slash pools. Next.
The list of amenity goes like clubhouse consisting of gym, indoor games area, multifunctional hall, and swimming pool. Besides clubhouse, we have a garden with jogging track, and a theater room is also provided. The basic amenities like lift, water supply, electricity, and parking are also available. There are 2 typologies. One is apartment and the other is row house. Both have their separate amenities Like flat residents can access theater room and gym in the basement of the apartment, whereas row house residents have separate gym and indoor games area in the clubhouse. Some common amenities are swimming pool, multifunctional hall, and garden, which are provided for both the residents of apartment as well as row houses. According to residents, only 30% of the people utilize the spaces. We also tried to analyze some areas of the spaces and the number of people using it at a time. Next. Landscape is well maintained with lush green rolling lawn in the garden with sitting space for elderly. Division of pedestrian way and vehicular way is done using small plantation dividers, and each bungalow is equipped with a separate garden, also a terrace garden. Flats also have some kind of vegetation in the balconies. Next.
Staircase and lift. Every building has two staircases. It is of the three-quarter typology, and they have provided a lift between the in the depth of the staircase. As there are 20 steps from floor to floor, the floor height that we calculated is 3 meters, and hence the overall height of the building is 27 meters. Fire services are also provided within the of the building in the staircase, and because of the services given, the width of the staircase is 2 meters. The lifts, there are two lifts in each apartment, and they can carry 200 to 250 kgs of load in one ferry. We can also access the machine room on the terrace. We have provided some images of the machine room. The next, parking layout. They have provided ample amount of parking for both row houses as well as the apartments. So the total number of parking for both, including row houses and apartments, is for cars is 202, and for bikes they have provided 198 like spaces to park the bike. So therefore, the total area for parking that they have used on the ground is 3,119 square meters, and that is 12% of the total area of the site. They have also planned water supply and drainage properly. They have provided a septic tank and two underground tanks near the entrance or the apartments. I'm marking my laser to it. Underground tanks they have provided. Then they have also overhead tanks to store water on each bungalows, as well as common overhead water storage tank for apartments. They have designed proper channels for draining the rainwater design according to the site slope, that is towards the north. Then the fire circulation layout, they have not provided a separate fire exit at the end of, like at a rear end, that is the north side of the project. But they have provided fire services in the staircase of the apartments, and bungalows would have bungalows would have to access the in society roads in case of a fire. They have provided street lights all over the project, and we got the location of the DG set and the transformer in the society, that is between the row houses and the apartments, so it is easily accessible to both of them, as well as to the like worksman if a problem arises.
These are the pros and cons of the same project. So firstly, I'll be talking about the pros. The placing of the building in the south direction protects row houses and gardens from the afternoon sun. Then the parking spaces are provided for tenements as well as visitors, which is a good point. Also, there is every road has its sufficient turning radius, considering it to be a pro. And there is very proper channelized draining system, which was seen on the site as well. And the location is near to the highway and it is easily accessible. So yeah, that is again a pro. Mansi will be talking about cons.
So coming down to the cons that we jotted down, we found that the play area for the kids was not incorporated in the planning earlier. Also, the splash pool that was originally provided for each flat was later converted into different usable space by almost due to the leakage issues. Also, the lift size, we found it inadequate with respect to the disabled people or physically challenged people. Also, due to the location of the site, the municipal corporation water supply was not available, so they had boring incorporated in their site. And also, discussed earlier, the layout of the row house is such that some of the backyards at the front have a small area, and as you go further, the area extends for the backyards. So all bungalows do not have same area of backyard. Next.
Then we went to the next site, which was 51 and 180 greens, which was right beside 50 and 108 greens. Tell me next slide. Yeah, so this is the conceptual model. This is tried by us, and here for the row house, there is G+2 structure, and here we have shown how floor level staircase and roof solidifies to make a solid structure. Then for the apartments, we have shown how flats are organized on a floor plate, and then how the floor plate is repeated multiple times.
In the site plan, the site's linearity was very well used. The design accommodated maximum dwellings in that way. The row houses were placed at behind, and the apartments were in the front side. The area of apartments was about 829 square meters, and row houses was 92.12 square meters, a single unit. And the same design was repeated in this one as well. Next slide. In the apartment floor plan, we can see the same typical floor plan was repeated in all the 4 blocks. Now one enters the apartment from the 3-quarter staircase, and it is oriented in north-south direction, each apartment, which enjoys good light and ventilation throughout the day. And a gradual hierarchy of spaces was felt throughout, from public spaces in the living room to family room, semi-private space, which also had dining and attached kitchen and gallery to look outside, and private spaces were far behind with attached toilets and walk-in wardrobes. For other 3 apartments, one floor contained 4 apartments, and for the other 3, the same layout was mirrored. Next. We were fortunate enough to go inside and visit these apartments. These are the pictures from each and every place over there. The living room, the family room, kitchen, dining, 3 bedrooms, attached toilet and washrooms. Next.
These are the elevations of the apartment building. As the apartment building is 11 stories high, each floor has 4 tenements, and it can accommodate up to 180 apartments. Can we next? These are the sections. Section DD dash is the washroom section, and section CC dash is the vertical connections with lifts and stairs. Next.
For the row houses, they have provided 4 BHK, which covers an area of 195 square meter on the 195 square meters. Then as we can't they are row houses, but they don't have a common wall. The parking wall of the first apartment, first row house is connected it is common with the living room wall of the adjacent bungalows. So it is not a wall, as we can see this area. The where my cursor is, this area is the space between 2 walls, so it is not a row house but individual bungalow. They have provided parking space to each row house, a small garden in front of the house as well as in the back side, and we can observe living room, kitchen, dining, as well as 1 bedroom on the ground floor. While on the first floor plan, we can observe 2 bedrooms, one first bedroom and second bedroom, with 2 connected 2 toilets with walk-in wardrobes, and they have also provided a family lounge area between in the connecting space of the 2 bedrooms. On the second floor plan, they have provided 1 bedroom with its toilet and walk-in wardrobe, while they have an open terrace that can also be utilized as a green space on the second floor.
These are some of the views of its balconies and the facade. The elevation on the left side is of the backside elevation, and on the right is the front side elevation. Next. The section on top right shows the sunken slabs at its skirts from the toilet areas. That is 2 toilets on the first floor and 1 on the second floor. Then the section on the top left shows the section cut from the staircase area. And the section shown in the bottom left corner, we can observe that some part of the staircase is went into bedroom on ground floor. So this part of bedroom having low height is used for placing wardrobe. Next.
Now we compared the studied area with standards from UDCPR. So we got some of these areas. Like living room for the standard was 14.4 square meter. Then here it was a bigger one. The provided area in this planning was much larger than the required standard. So it was we concluded that it was a luxury dwelling. Next.
So basically, this is the analysis for 4 BHK bungalows, and these were the standards, the area calculation we did before, and these are the areas from the case studies. And here we observe the same thing just said.
Namrata.
So this is like we visited the site. So about the spaces and interior spaces and volume of it. So the spaces were very grand. They gave the essence of grandeur and richness. Minimum furniture which was only required, that was only kept, and there were proper circulation spaces available. And all the rooms, they were properly connected, properly zoned, and they used basically rectangular, squares, and straight lines for planning as well as for elevation. And the most important thing is that they considered the sufficient height, size, they kept minimum furniture, then adequate space for circulation was provided. Interior colors were such that they were pleasing and they gave a sense of spaciousness. So all of this and the consideration of human scale, all of this made the house and spaces comfortable and habitable. Next slide. About the fenestration, so glass facades were provided for the apartment building, and different offsets, openings, punctures were provided. So this gave the elevation a different and a very aesthetic look. While for the row houses, gable roof was provided to enhance its elevation with glass windows and glass doors, and punctures and strip panels were kept for the entry of light and air. Next slide.
Coming to the materials, the different materials used, we saw gray asphalt shingles used on the sloped roof of the row houses. Further, we saw white melamine coated MDF, which was used for background walls. Also, we saw matte brown Shera plank used in many different rooms for the purpose of ceiling. Next. Then 6 mm thick toughened glass, which was used for windows, and polished white marble, which were used for the floors. Also, we saw gray ceramic tiles, which were used in bathroom flooring of the structures. Next.
Next, we study some guideline from UDCPR, like the minimum height required and the minimum space required for the bathroom and toilets. So the given space in the bungalows was more than adequate, and they were likely 2 times larger than the given requirement. And from the guidelines, we studied that 1/10 of the area was required for ventilation. So this condition was also satisfied by double in the houses. Next.
This is the tabular comparison for Tara housing and the live case study that we did. The areas of both the project are 3.7 acres and 7.2 acres respectively. The density is 570 people in Tara housing and around 1100 people in the other. Tara housing has apartments with 2 BHK and 3 BHK, while the other has apartment of 3 BHK and a row house with 4 BHK. The FSI is 1.03 and 1.4 respectively. Parking is inadequate in Tara housing and more than sufficient for the other project. In Tara housing, some modules are placed and repeated, forming terrace and 2 rows of housing with central open space, while in the case study, site is planned in accordance to segregation of apartments and row houses. Tara housing space are compact and suggested with spacious exteriors, wherein the other project has spacious volumes in interiors as well as exteriors. All the units in Tara housing experience different light and ventilation conditions, and in this project, there is good light and ventilation. Next.
So about the connectivity, so in Tara housing, the units were connected by means of open and interactive spaces in the center, while in the live case study, all the apartments and row houses were connected with roads, and also the internal connectivity was nice, and no space in that was left out in planning. Then circulation, so in Tara housing, it had good circulation, and spaces were properly connected, and adequate circulation spaces were provided, while in live case study, proper roads and walking areas for pedestrian were separately planned and provided. Landscape in Tara housing was properly planned, having lawn, water bodies, planters to every apartment. While in live case study, ample of vegetation and with sittings for elderly, with different small gardens for row houses were provided. Amenities for Tara housing had amphitheaters, children's play area, etc., that attracted people. And in live case study, they were common. Some amenities were common for apartment and row house, while some were separate. Services for Tara housing, so there were well-planned services for electric, water supply, and staircase, but the drainage system was not that efficient, and lifts, ramps, and fire safety was not provided. While in live case study, all the services were properly taken into consideration. Next slide.
After studying all these case studies, we brought a list of inferences, how to bring dwellings together to create one big family. Classic and timeless principles of design which make one comfortable at ease and reassured. These attributes are absolutely crucial to a building which is in use 24 hours a day and where the residents are permanent, such as a housing complex. Not only shelters, but the main focus must also lie in the surroundings, as they are the key in developing interest of the user and enhancing the overall value of the place. We also require well-maintained space segregation with proper facilities that are the prerequisites of any design. At all means, functionality cannot be compromised. Talking about the services, the roads, vehicular and pedestrian flow must be planned considering the circulation and escape routes. The shadows of the mass clusters should initiate a positive interactive recreational space. Social aspects in terms of public interaction, security, physical comfort, community space, view and efficacy of the structure as well is a significant part of housing and planning. All these components provide a platform and the whole focus shifts from individual living in their flat to a community, mingling and forming relationships at a much higher level. Continue. These are the reference links that we referred. Yes, ma'am, we are done. Thank you. Thank
So
you.
one point is still remaining, which I think you have missed from the first case study. That is the award-winning project, I suppose. Which was that? Tara Housing.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Could you guess which point is missing? Anybody else from this group, from your group, and from others also? So you have studied the interior space, interior courtyards, which have been designed by Charles Correa. The internal community space, how he has designed it. And while designing, the most important aspect, that is the geographical situation of the entire site. Have you observed the levels taken by, considered by the architect? The level differences in the community space. How beautifully he has conceptualized.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So
For the
you have missed
amphitheater,
that
they
point.
have got level down.
So you have missed that point. So it is really very interesting to note that and to study the spaces and to feel the spaces, basically, not only study, you have to feel that space, the community space which has been designed in the interior courtyard. Those have been designed in such a way that the landscape and the built space, it has been merged together. So how beautifully that has been designed, you have to, it is basically the entire study, the entire analysis of that particular level differences needs to be studied in detail actually. And this contours and its implications and its effect on the design, overall design of the entire project, that is required to be studied actually. Okay, so otherwise your entire study yes. So where were we on the contours? Then
Yes.
the cluster formation. How beautifully he has designed the interior spaces in this cluster, that is also important. Then in one of the project, that is in live case study, the location of the open space. You have not commented on the location of the open space. Yes, exactly, in this particular, where it has been located and where it should be. Normally, where you are supposed to provide the community space, if you are designing any cluster.
In the
At the
center
center.
or at the beginning?
At the beginning or at the center. Why at the beginning? It all depends on the location of that particular site. Because that is a mandatory open space. And that is required for the people, those who live in. It is for their convenience, it is for their benefit. When you are designing 2-3 clusters, then each and every cluster should get benefit of the open space where the kids play. The landlady, she doesn't send her kids to the space, open space, which is far away from the apartment or flat in which he's residing. So you will have to take this point into consideration when you design your project. Then,
Yes, sir.
what are the contour levels of the live case study? What are the geographic conditions? Layout of the roads. In fact, what are your specific observations on the layout roads which they have designed in the live case study which you have done? Any?
So the width of the road is sufficient for like 2 cars to pass, and proper turning radius is also provided for each road.
No, basically, okay, it is according to the rules and regulations, according to UDCPR. Because unless they go through it and they provide it according to the rules, they will not get the permission. Rather, nobody will get the permission if it is not according to the rules. What is important here? The levels of the entire site that actually decides how the layout should be. Because you have to provide the services, you have to provide the water supply services, then sewerage system, entire sewerage system. You have to consider the proper slope and the gravitational slope also, so that you can decide the location of your septic tank, STP, if it is required to be provided. And if it is not required, then you have to think of the stormwater drainage and other things, rainwater harvesting systems for the entire project. And for that, you have to study the geographical conditions, its contours. So the study of contours is one of the important topics which has been included in the syllabus this semester. So these are a few points which I wanted to tell you, and you are supposed to go into the depth of this. Otherwise, your case study presentation is really good. You have studied each and every aspect in detail. Wonderful presentation, I must say.
Thank you, sir.
You have to
Thank you, sir.
you have to finalize the points which you are going to decide, which you are going to apply in your project. So the takeaway points, these are very important. Okay, even if you have done the comparative analysis also in a nice manner, but the takeaway points you have to finalize, and then you have to start with your project. Okay, so wonderful. Yes, Ketki.
Almost all the points, and I don't think, because we did talk about the open spaces as well, so I don't think I have anything more to add to it. But yes, this group has done a wonderful presentation.